What is good, guys? It's Ronald, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com, at @U_Capper on Twitter. We got another full house today. I really like these shows here with multiple cappers, different angles. I love it because it helps me. Sometimes I don't see every single game, especially on these bigger slates when we got like 10 to 12 games. These guys, sharp guys, got angles that I haven't looked at, especially early on the day, so that helps a lot, and hopefully it helps a lot of the viewers and the people in the chat as well. We got Mitch in the building, we got Greg, we got Joey and Chris. First up, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a round table. Each one of us is gonna talk about a game that we like. We'll try to break it down as much as possible, and then we'll try to get to the chat and the viewers, see what questions you guys have. And if we do have time, we'll try to live cap one of the games at least. But I will try to bring the screen up while the guys are talking, bring up little trends and angles that I caught while they look at break down their game. So, um, with that said, I think yesterday we had a really positive show all around. Chris was on it, Munaf was on it. I think Munaf swept the board. Chris, I think you went 2-1, I believe, and then I went 3-1 on the plays that I mentioned, and on the show as well. But I actually played different games. I ended up betting different games afterwards, but I still ended up 3-1, so it didn't really matter. With that said, I want to get started right away. Let's start with Joey here. Let's talk about what game you want to bet here, or your best bet for today's show here.
Yeah, what's going on? My best bet is actually going to be fading my Bucks. I like the Cavaliers here today, which I wasn't sure how I was feeling earlier in the day, but after hearing a couple guys who I respect talk about it, I looked into it a bit more, and I think it's Cavaliers or nothing here. You've got the Cavs who have been chilling at home last few games.
Mhm.
You got the Cavs on the year who have only lost a couple games at home. But the biggest thing that stood out to me was, and we can pull up all the numbers about Bucks on the road. The
Mhm.
defense travels, we know that, but offensively on the road, it wasn't transitioning the same. You got an outlier game versus New Orleans, and that's because Giannis went off for 42, Brook went for 30. We'll call them the trees of Milwaukee. But what do you got over there on the Cavaliers side? You got a whole bunch of trees as well. I'm not expecting 42 and 30 from Brook again.
Mhm.
And you've got Jared Allen, which is what Ski mentioned to me. Shout out to Ski. The two times that the Cavs and Bucks had played this year, Cavaliers were up by double digits at halftime in both games. They ended up tricking those leads off, and in one of them, that's because Jared Allen got hurt right away.
Mhm.
And what I thought was also the biggest thing to note, as well as on top of the chilling at home last few games, the Cavaliers' pace in the last 5 games, if you pull it up, they should be dead last in the league. I think that benefits Cleveland a lot more than it benefits Milwaukee. Milwaukee gets you on the run and gun, Giannis full court transition, kick it out to a shooter. I think that the pace benefits the Cavs. And you got Bucks on the road specifically after a win. I could repeat some of these things too if you want to search them on the screen.
Yeah.
Bucks specifically on the road after a win, just 3-8 against the spread. So I'm gonna take the Cleveland Cavaliers here. Unfortunately, gonna have to fade my team. I think it's Cavaliers or nothing today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. A lot of things pointed towards the Cavaliers here. Just in general, like how they do at home, right? They're really great defensively at home. I know the Bucks. They're number one defensive rated team on the road, but they're dead last offensive rated on the road. So it's like that opposite, right? They're not going to be able to hope. I mean, to me, hopefully they don't score a lot here against the Cavs. They, like you mentioned, the outlier there. The outlier there against the Pelicans, where the Bucks went over their team total, because the Cavs been allowing under the team total in a bunch of their home games so far this season. I believe I looked at this earlier, but Giannis has failed to go over 30 points in four of his last five matchups against the Cavs. I'm not I someone told me that. I haven't looked at it myself, but I believe that's the case. So if Giannis struggles to score there, I can't see them really getting away with this win here. Did anyone else have a anything to add on this one from a side perspective?
Yeah, I'm right there with Joey as well. RC, I know we chatted about this one yesterday. I think Mitch there with us as well. Double revenge game for the Cavs. Joey mentioned it earlier. These two teams already played twice this year. I think their first game, the Cavaliers won at full strength. The second game was the one Joey talked about where Jared Allen went out in the second half, and after having a double-digit lead at halftime, they were losing. I think by double digits at the end of the third quarter. So it was a massive turnaround in the third quarter. I think it was something like 35-14 being outscored in the third quarter. And then, the Bucks never looked back in that one. So I also looked at a few more things that put me on the Cavs, RC, which one of them was, fourth straight home game. I mentioned double revenge. I think it's a good measuring stick game for the Cleveland Cavaliers too, especially if they want to, assert themselves as one of these, higher upper echelon teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
You also get them 9-0 straight up, 6-1-2 against the spread, RC at home as a favorite versus the East, right? So that's something that we can look at. Home favorite versus the East. I got them 9-0 straight up, 6-1-2 against the spread.
Gotcha.
Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Also, looking at the Bucks, RC, if you just look at the Bucks, they haven't played in the same gym, bunch of travel, 12 straight games dating back to the last time that they actually played. These two teams faced off on November 25th.
Gotcha.
So 12 straight travel, just not a good travel spot for them at all. Meanwhile, the Cavs sitting at the crib. One of the things I also looked at, RC, was the Bucks on the road against the East. They're just 2-3-1 against the spread as well. So like that angle for the Cavaliers. And then last thing I looked at, RC, was home favorites playing their fourth straight home game, in which they were home favorites in the first three. And their home game and their home favorite in the fourth one as well, with the short line. Those teams are 3-1 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. I'm sorry, 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. So
is that this season?
So yes, let's pull that up real quick, Darcy. I think that's a pretty interesting trend. So home favorites playing their fourth straight home game, in which they were favorites in the first three.
For this home favorite 4 straight times?
Yeah, home favorite 4 straight times. And they have a short line. I just put 3 or less. They're expected to win by 3 or less this season.
4-0 straight up, 3-1 ATS. Failed to cover by 1.5 points.
So one more step, I see. Just change the date to 2020. Let's go back a few more years, to get a little more clarity here. I feel like that's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think with the home road splits at some point is gonna flip for the Bucks, but it just seems like this is not the game to do it. Did Mitch or Greg? Did you guys have anything to add on the side?
I'm just looking at some home away splits real quick, and Milwaukee shooting the league low 43% on the road. That's just straight up field goal. And Cleveland splits are 49 and 46 from home versus away. And then I went back and looked at those games real quick. Milwaukee at home, the first game they shot 48%, and then the second game they shot 50%. They shot 45 and 42 from 3 in those games as well, hitting 15 and 16 3-pointers. They're averaging 13 on the season. So it just looks like a positive regression spot for the Cavs and some negative regression for the Bucks. Lines up with everything for home and away.
Gotcha.
I also just want to add one more. Sorry, RC. I just want to add one more thing. We mentioned all of this, and all of this sounds great. We haven't even mentioned who the Bucks have got up next, by the way. And you look at that game versus New Orleans, it tells you that they probably weren't looking ahead to this game, but Bucks got the Nets on deck, and they got the Celtics on Christmas Day. So you got 2 wins versus the Cavaliers already. I mean, you tell me which game might mean more to you.
Got you. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's a good point there. I didn't think of that at all, to be honest. So that is definitely a good point there. Since we're on this game, Chris, I know you're on the total here. You want to break that down?
Yeah. So looking at the total, RC is actually trending in the opposite direction. I'm on the under in this game. I liked it at 217 and a half last night, and now I see it actually moved up to 218 on my book. RC. So the higher it goes, for the audience, the more and more I like the under in this spot. And I think Joey just kind of mentioned it. That last game against the Pelicans on the road was kind of an outlier game where you got 30 points from Brook Lopez, and a game that I think I know I was on the wrong side of RC because I took the under in the Bucks and the Pelicans game, just thinking that the Pelicans would come back home and play much better defense. Also that the Bucks, being the elite defensive team, they typically not giving up 119 points on the road either. So we saw, that one kind of fly over the total. But looking at this one, RC, specifically matchup wise, I'm looking at the under as 5-1-1 in the last 7 meetings between in Cleveland specifically. Joey just kind of mentioned it, but the Cavs are playing at the slowest pace in the league over the last few games. We talked about the Bucks, right? They're 10-3 to the under on the road, 4-0 to the under when the total is at 220 or lower this season. The Cavs are 4-1 to the under also as a home favorite when the total is at 218 or lower, right? So a lot of the things to me just kind of point towards this under. Another really big trend that I found to back this, RC, was you look at the Bucks. They're 6-0 to the under in away games versus the East. So that they take these games seriously. They typically struggle to score. They typically play pretty good defense as well. So 6-0 to the under in away games versus the East. Ninth best defensive rating over the last 2 weeks. That's even with giving up 140 plus points to the Memphis Grizzlies last week. And you look at the Cavs, sixth best defense at home, sixth best defensive rating at home as well. So I think this is a meaningful game, more so for the Cavs, like I said, which is why I like them on the side. But I also like them on the. I like this total. Like I said, the higher it goes, the more I like it to go under the 218.
Yeah, one thing to know here. So I'm looking at on NBA.com the stats here. I filtered it for home. Cleveland play with the slowest pace at home, and they have second best defensive rating. If we go on the road there, we look at the Bucks. We already talked about this, and they're number 1 in defensive rating there, but the dead last in offensive rating. So, I mean, just looking at traditional stats or even efficiency stats, it seems like the under is the way to go. And 217 for these types of numbers doesn't seem that high, or 218, whatever number you have. But I was looking at, because you said 218, I see 218 at Bookmaker, and circa one of the more sharper books, I believe, is 216.5. So it's going in the wrong direction, or in opposite directions. I agree with the under here. Greg, did you have a look on the total here?
No, not for the total. If anything, I want to get there with the Cavs, but I just can't. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring it all the way. I do agree with you though. They've been one of the slower paced teams for quite a while now in the league. Other than the blow up they had to San Antonio, I mean that's the only real game they didn't play defense.
Yeah.
But if gun to my head, I would take the over. But yeah, no, I haven't made a play on that yet though. I'm trying to get close on the Cavs though. But I just don't know if I'll make it there. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game in my opinion. But the under does make sense in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the team totals here for the Cavs opponents on at home. 10 out of the last 11 games, opponents have gone under the team total. So that's always the one that's. I think we've been. I don't know if you have been writing it, Chris, but I know I have. I think it might have been since this Kings game here.
That's when we started. Yeah, that's when we started the Kings game. Yeah, I've been riding it ever since. I got burnt on the Pacers, but I'm cool with going back to the well there.
Exactly. So I feel like this is another spot where we could look at the Bucks team total under. If you don't feel like, if you like the Cavs to cover, maybe this is a spot where the Bucks. I don't think this is gonna happen. I think it's gonna go under and the Cavs cover. But if for some reason the Bucks just kind of give in and look ahead to the next game, if the Cavs play strong in the first half, they might just let loose and kind of not play defense at all, and then the Cavs kind of take over at that spot. That could happen, but for the most part, I still believe it's the under is the way to go. All right, next up, let's go with Greg. Let's go with you actually on this next one here. What are you looking at as far as being your best bet today?
It's probably gonna be on the Blazers, man. Looks like the line is dipping because who is it that just got ruled in or just shot at shoot around? Sorry,
Giddey.
Yeah, Giddey and Bays, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of them. Anyways, I think that Nurk is going to play today. He didn't play the last game. For anybody that doesn't follow the Blazers, Dame just broke the all-time scoring record for the Blazers. And there's nothing worse than actually losing that game. I think he even said it in his post game. It soured the whole moment for him. He really even wasn't like even present in it until present in the moment until they called it. I kind of looked some things up to kind of help back it. So like this is a second game, like back to back, same gyms. And when I looked it up, home dog that won and they shot more than 35 free throws. They're 12 and 38 straight up. And then 30 and 22 the ATS. Everything I'm finding ATS wise backs the dog, but everything straight up I'm finding is for the Blazers. And there was another one that I looked up that was over 60% as well. It was an away favorite that lost the same matchup. If they have greater or equal than 15 turnovers, which the Blazers had 7 in the fourth quarter, and blew that game by not getting the inbound in with 19 seconds left, up one. That's 68.6%. If you go across the whole database, that's 1,070 to 490. Again, the ATS is right at about 50%. Everything I'm finding on that. It's more just like a spot play for me, man. We totally blew that game. So for me, I expect them to come back. If you know this team, for some reason, Nurk tweeted instantly last game, like right when he broke the point barrier. So I don't know where he was at or what the fuck he was doing. And he called like if he calls him Babo and in Bosnian, that means father. So I think this whole team kind of knows that they let him down. So you're going to get a very inspired performance out of them tonight, knowing that they want to get this one back for Dame for not winning that last one. So for me, I'm really going to be close to getting on that 3.5. I think I'm going to get on it before the Nurk news is confirmed. He's questionable right now. Everybody else is probable. I didn't even look at the lineup last night, and I know that Dame got an X-ray on his hand. He said he was all good, and he was most likely going to be playing. Who was it? Hart was probable. Grant was probable, and Eubanks were all probable. The only questionable tag was Nurkic, and I believe he's going to play. So if I get Nurkic, that means I get double bigs down low, like for both sets. It really changes. I noticed that it changes their offense last time. Like it really helps them being able to have Anthony Simons run the second team and have a useful big man down low, just like in the first team. Makes it way more versatile. They can kind of stretch the floor from inside out. So for me, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve by believing that Nurkic is going to play. So that 3.5 is very encouraging to me. Also, just like I said, like facing them again, like me seeing that I was getting over 60% on those straight ups. For the turnovers, they had 17 being over. I looked up over 15 with an away favorite loss, and also with them making 36 free throw attempts. Our free throws are getting 36 free throw attempts last game, as well. That kind of led me. There's that team is then straight up 24%, so 12 and 38 if you look that up. But for me, it's just going to be more of the Blazers. I waited. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's going to get any lower than this 3.5. So I'm pretty sure I'll be on the 3.5.
Yeah. So I'm looking at them on the road here. They typically do well. 12 and 6 ATS on the road. They are playing back to back too. So a little bit of a revenge angle there as well. Did anyone else have a take on this game specifically, the Blazers?
Just from an eye test perspective, RC, I would be with Greg on this one. I watched the end of that game, and the Trailblazers really just fumbled it away. I can confirm everything that Greg said. I looked at all those things as well. Dame Wrist seems fine. He was really upset that it didn't come in to win. He's very old school with just wanting to win games. I don't think that they want to lose twice to OKC. And no offense to OKC, they're a really scrappy young team. They play tremendous defense. They slide their feet really well, but I'd be looking for Portland to win this game, and with the spread being pretty small, their line probably will shift to probably about 3, like Greg said, with Nurkic being ruled in. So I'd be looking towards the Blazers in this one to get that quick revenge as well.
Got you. So I'm just looking at this here as Blazers as on the road following a loss, 5 and 3 straight up, 6 and 2 ATS. The only time that they were favored, they did win and cover by a pretty good margin. So that's one thing to note there. Also, it was against the Rockets. And the Thunder and Rockets, I feel like they're pretty comparable as far as like what tier they are in the NBA. So it makes a lot of sense there. This would definitely back the Blazers. All right, so let's go with Mitch. I think it was you. You're up next here.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? So I'm looking at last night Joey and I were chatting, and Joey was telling me, "Hey, I've got to hop on these nets. I got to hop on these nets as soon as this line comes out. These Warriors are going to start announcing these people being out." So I was looking. Unfortunately for Joey, I was able to hop on a 7.5. I'm not going to sit here and tout that and say that so we should all take because it's not available. But another angle or way to play that game would be to play the Nets offense. The Nets offense team total is sitting at 18.5. I was looking at Golden State's defense, and they're giving up 122 on the road. The Nets over their last, I had it right here. They scored their last game. They had 124, 119, 112, 136, 120, and 122 in this. So they've cleared that in 5 of 6 previous games. And also, when they're playing, or when Golden State's playing on the second night of a back-to-back on the road, they've had that instance 4 times this year. They gave up 114 to the Pels. They gave up 128 to the Pels. They gave up 128 to the Pistons, and they gave up 125 to the Pacers. So, that's a 3-1 right there to this over. And that was when they were healthier, when they had a better squad, when they had more of their defensive key pieces in Draymond and Wiggins and even just somebody like Steph to score and get off the ball. So I'm really looking for the Nets to score. I don't see anybody stopping Kyrie. I don't see anybody stopping KD. It's blowout potential. That's the one thing that does that kind of makes me hesitate a tiny bit, is just because the pace might slow down, but towards the end of the game, if it's a 20-point game in the third quarter. But in those instances, usually teams just give up and don't play defense and just play Olay defense. So especially if it's going to be second unit guys, I'm looking for the Nets to score early, often, and the whole game. I was looking at as well Golden State's 3-point defense on the road. They're worse in the league, or top 3 worst in the league. They're giving up at a 40% clip. So. And the attempts per game are way up for Brooklyn lately. So I've got one way to look, and it's it's Brooklyn scoring the ball tonight. Last 3, Brooklyn shooting 40% from 3, and Golden State's given up 40% on the road, average of 122. So Brooklyn's recent form, everything's pointing up. Golden State's recent form, they're a shell of themselves. They've got half of their squad out there. We're looking for Brooklyn to score tonight over 11 or 118.5.
Got 118.5. That's perfect. Because I was just looking at Warriors on the road. They're allowing 122.7. One thing that you're mentioning too is the Nets offense. I looked at the last 10 games, offensive rating 117. And the pace of play for the Golden State Warriors 102.6. So I like looking at those games where one team is playing well offensively, and then the other team pushes pace, because sometimes you don't look at it on the opposite sides. Normally you're like, all right, Golden State Warriors play with pace, but they're not shooting offensively well. You don't correlate their pace with the opponent's team's offensive rating. Well, I mean, not that I hear a lot, but that's one thing that I like to do. So that kind of goes along with the team total going over for the Nets there. The other thing that I was looking at here, so the team total on the over for the Warriors opponents on the road, it's 14-3 to the over. So that also goes well for that team total. And I mean, a lot of things are really, if you don't want to take the spread, that large line, I would say that would probably be the way to go, is that team total. Did anyone else have an angle on this one?
I love the play as soon as Mitch had mentioned it, and for everything that he just said. It's a good way to avoid the spread. And I think what you got going in your favor, Mitch, is even so for prop bettors, maybe this isn't the best game to play because of that blowout potential. But despite a blowout potential, when the bench guys come in, they usually run and gun. And on top of it, the Warriors are the defending champs. And no pun intended, but they're a wounded Warrior. And it seems like people are just giving them their best shot. I mean, look what the Knicks did to them yesterday. They never took their foot off the gas. these games mean something to the other team when it's the Warriors.
No, that makes a lot of sense there.
Real quick, RC, two things I want to note real quick is, this seems like a blowout spot for the Nets. I know Joey just kind of alluded to it, but the Nets as a home favorite, laying 10 points or more this season, it's happened 3 times. They're 0-3 when they're supposed to be covering these big numbers. 0-3 against the spread. They have won 2 of them straight up and lost 1, but they haven't covered these spreads. 2, like I said, they won 2. The other thing I think is interesting, RC, going back to what Mitch was saying, was looking at this Warriors team. I know you looked at them, RC, on the road, right? But if you look at them on the road, with no days rest, so pretty much the back on the road, that's typically where Coach Kerr rests his guys. The total for the opposing team goes up even more to 123.4. So I really love that team total that Mitch was talking about as well.
No, that makes a lot of sense there. So I just what you just mentioned, the Warriors on the road on no rest. I just noticed too that they are 4-0 to the under on the Warriors team total. It almost seems like it doesn't matter what the line is. It would probably just be Nets regardless. If you even at the large spread.
Yeah, I think it's 105.5 RC and 118.5, which would give us that 12.5 point gap, which on the spread.
Yeah, I like the Nets, man. I think I like that look a lot, actually. The more that I break this down with you guys. All right, so that's that. So Mitch, you had the Nets team total over. Greg, you have the Blazers here. Chris, you got the Bucks Cavs under 217.5. Joey, you got the Cavs ATS there. I like all of that. You guys on point today. I love it. I love all those plays there. And then I'm gonna probably come in with the ugliest one of the day. I talked about this on Triple Double, but I actually like the Pacers, and I don't know if you guys are probably gonna disagree with me here.
I got some stuff on the Pacers, I see.
You do? Okay, well,
I thought you said both.
Sometimes you gotta be the contrarian, and I think the Pacers are that today. A lot of things are pointing towards their direction here. I'm just gonna pull up some of the trends here. Both teams are rested, and I'll do rest greater than or equal to 2. 4-0 straight up, 4-0 ATS when they have 2 or more days of rest. If we look at the Celtics on their side, they're actually the opposite. 1-5 straight up, 1-5 ATS with extra days of rest. The crazy thing is if we look at, I believe it's at -10. Yeah, 10 now. So it's a double-digit line here for the Pacers. If we look at the Pacers and line is greater than or equal to 10, they actually won and covered outright the last 2 situations. Nets and Warriors, obviously they're not the Celtics, but at the same time giving them that double-digit line there. It seems like they should be able to put together a nice performance here. Celtics already struggling offensively the last 5 games. You can see they have failed to cover in all 5 of their last games. They won one of them. So we go back to the Celtics here. And this one, I would say it ended up a push because it closed at -4, but for majority of the day, I remember for sure because I had the Celtics -3.5. Celtics did cover the open line. They just pushed on the closing line. So I would just say 1-4 ATS in the last 4 games. And their offense, like I said, is just struggling to the point where it seems like this might be a spot where they end up winning the game, right? They get right from a certain aspect, but that line is just too much for me to not take the Pacers here. That's the way that I would look. I don't know if you guys agree with that. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Would you guys not? I mean, I think Greg, you mentioned you probably wouldn't step in front of the Celtics here after a loss. But if I remember, I think, let me look at this again. But I believe after a loss, it's not like they come back. So yeah, all right. So after a loss, 5-3 straight up, but 3-4-1 ATS. So it's not too crazy, right? I don't know. That's the way that I'm looking. I like it. I bet it. I actually bet it already. So you can't talk me off. But I would like to hear your guys' takes. What do you guys think?
So before they slaughter you, RC, the little bit of backup I got for you, and full disclaimer, right? This is the Boston Celtics. They probably will get Tatum back, and we know how caliber that offense can be. But I'm with you though, RC. They still don't have those guys integrated, right? Robert Williams, Al Horford being back. The Pacers are feisty, like you said, RC, and I had a lot of what you had already. The only thing I'll add, RC, is let's look at the Pacers as away dogs versus the East real quick.
So they got Pacers against
Pacers as away dogs versus the East. Four straight covers as an away dog this year. Yeah. Cavs, Nets twice, and the Wizards. So I'm with you, RC. That's the only way I'd be able to look. If I find it really difficult to lay 10 points with a team. Granted, it's the Boston Celtics. It's the greatest offense we've ever seen, but I find it difficult laying 10 points.
Check that first quarter
with these trends.
Yeah, no, I see
Check
it.
that first quarter.
That's why I say the 10, the full game, the 10. I just feel like it's too much there. If we go to dog, what was it, dog? Oh.
ARC, am I reading that right though? 27-31 was that opening quarter spread.
27-31
was that in that last query for the Pacers?
Oh yeah, I got you. All right, so here's the counter though. So when the Pacers are dogs against teams with a winning record, they play up to their opponents. So we look at that first quarter specifically. That's a different narrative, right? 30.4 to 29.6. And that's against the Cavs. Warriors, maybe this was the time when they were actually doing okay, but it was on the road. Yeah, at home. So playing in their building is typically tough. Playing against the Jazz, they were pretty hot. Nuggets, okay. Wizards, I think they were just above 500 at that time, earlier on in the season. But that's one way that I was looking at it too. Is that they play up to their opponents. Also, a 4-1 to the over there too. I like the over in this one too. I don't know if you guys like it, but that's the way that I look. Pacers on the season have been going under, but the Celtics, I feel like this is a get right spot offensively that they're going to have to push the pace, and they're still trying to integrate too Robert Williams back into the offense as well. And then I know Smart is questionable. I don't know if he's. Do you guys know anything about Marcus Smart?
Still saw he was questionable.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. But so when I told you that earlier, real fast,
yeah,
Ronald, like, so the reason, like, I think they win, but everything ATS wise is what I was getting was going towards what's it called today? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting.
Celtics.
Yeah, no, not the Celtics.
The Pacers.
Yeah, to the Pacers, because I was looking up like previous home favorite loss and then previous home favorite loss. And the team's winning percentage equals greater than or equal to 68. That's 19-25 against the spread. And then if you do the opponent's rest equals 0, that is even going to give you 4-7 ATS against the spread.
Slow down real quick. You're going too fast. All right, so previous home favorite loss.
Previous home favorite loss.
Is that this season or?
Yeah, yeah. And then do P dot previous home favorite loss, and then do previous home favorite loss and winning percentage greater than or equal to 68. And you're going to see that is 19, and that's for the whole database.
All right.
And then pull that up.
I got you. So it would be a fade spot in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It goes towards the Pacers. And then if you add that everything I'm trying to say is I just got that the ATS that they should cover this number and the Celtics should win. But I don't want to step in front of the Celtics because just like Chris was kind of saying, this is one of those, like, one of the best offenses we've seen. They what have they lost? 5 of their last 6, I believe. It's a get right spot for them. So that's why I don't want to step in front of the Celtics today. But I agree with you. Like, the contrarian play, I don't think is the wrong side of it.
Got you. No, I like it. Okay, cool.
That's some scary stuff on the board, RC, for sure. You could want to back the Bulls today. That'd be a lot scarier.
Oh yeah, no, I can't do it 2 days in a row. I cannot do that 2 days in a row.
Yeah, RC, real quick on the over. Just 2 points I wanted to make on the over because you had some stuff up for the over. The Celtics 4-1 to the over as a home favorite, laying 10 points or more. Also 9-2 to the over as a home favorite versus the East. So I think money's coming in on the over RC, and that's the way I would look as well.
Yeah. There was some other stuff that I had towards the over. Let me look here. I mean, primarily a get back spot offensively for them, and then also just how they do at home. But the thing that sucks is just how they had to integrate Robert Williams back into the offense. So maybe it's time that they had 2 days of rest. Maybe it's time that they get over. All right, we had 35 minutes. I do want to make time for just one game to cap live with everybody. What's one game that you guys want to break down? Maybe it's something that you guys had a lean on, but you want to get some more support for it. Any thoughts on the game that we want to do?
I think the Raptors.
You asked in the chat, RC?
Raptors.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, Raptors. What do you get? What's the chat? What's the chat think about the Raptors game?
What'd you say?
That one's a funky one too. I think.
Yeah, that one's funky. That line's fishy.
That line is really funky. I think a lot of things were pointing towards the Knicks, but you would assume the way that both teams are playing, they would be favored by more, right? Let's go. Let's look at the line real quick. All right, so we got Raptors Knicks here, moving towards the Knicks -1.5. Total going down from 218 to 217. We see a 2 here. We also see, yeah, 2 and 217. Okay. So we got Raptors. They've lost 6 straight. Failed to cover in 5 of them. They covered this one. They went into OT. How many minutes did these guys play? So we got heavy minutes, 40 plus each for Anunoby, Van Vliet, and Siakam. Barnes not fouled out. Barnes only played 30. Did he get hurt? Now I can't remember.
No, only Kim Birch and Gary Trent Jr. on the injury list.
They're both questionable.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then we go to the Knicks side here. Who do they have up? Knicks. Oh, they got the Cavs too. Raptors got Cavs on deck in Cleveland too. All right, so we got the Knicks. They won and covered 8 straight, 6 and 2 to the under in that same time frame. They're on the second leg of back-to-back games. They got the Bulls up next. I don't think that's not much of a look ahead or anything. So if we look at Knicks on the second leg of back-to-back games, 3-2, 3-1-1 ATS. So it's not like they're bad in this spot either.
Also, third game in 4 nights too, RC.
Yeah, still I still don't see why this line isn't bigger, but this is the first time that they're a favorite in that spot. Did you?
I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah,
I played the Knicks first quarter.
Knicks first quarter.
See, I'm opposite on Mitch. I played the full game already.
Yeah,
Knicks full game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not Knicks full game. Raptors full game.
Raptors full game.
So I think that this line, like you said, it's just fishy. It should be more for the Knicks. But the books seem that they're suggesting that the Raptors have a bounce back spot, that they're gonna, I think, what is it, 6 or 7 that they've lost in a row, that they're gonna, finally face the Magic and get a W. So they pretty much set the line at a pick 'em. But Knicks, I'm just gonna get in and get out on this one. I don't trust the full line, full game. I've got the Knicks at a half. And then I got it at like -107. I also put half a unit on the money line, which was around -20. And so Knicks are what? They're 9-0-1 ATS at home first quarter. They're 8-2 straight up, and Raptors are 4-11 ATS on the road in the first quarter. Raptors offense is bottom third in the league right now. Knicks defense is top 3 in the league right now. over the last however you want to do it, last 3 games, last 2 weeks, last month, it's been pretty consistent. And even just watching the Raptors game late in that game, when they needed to make things happen against the Sixers, it was really hard to watch. Them able to get 4 buckets in the span of overtime in the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of the game. So yeah, it was just real rough to watch that. I don't trust this Raptors offense against this Knicks defense right now. Another way that if you think that it's going to play out that way, you can throw on the under. 2 very strong defensive teams, and it looks like their offenses are. Raps are a very great defensive team. They're going to be able to stop those Knickerbockers with some length, but I don't see them. I can't play it the full game. I gotta get in, get out. Knicks are proven to be strong first quarter starters. Raptors aren't. The stats are there. The lines are there. Everything is pointing towards the Knicks. So I gotta play it. Checks all the boxes.
Man, so I'm just while you guys are discussing it, I'm looking at different angles and different ways to look at this game. It's just a lot of competing trends here. I didn't have a good feel for this game anyway, just because of how tricky the line seemed. Chris, did you have anything, or Joey?
I just wanted to say, I agree that it seems fishy, but how much of it may be the market overreacting to the Raptors stars coming back and playing the Sixers pretty well, or you still got people like me who I'm not really a believer in the Knicks. I don't think that the streak should be at what it's at.
Yeah.
So maybe that's placed into it as well. But I got no interest in playing it. I agree with that first quarter look, but I won't be on it.
I'm kind of with Joey in that agreement. You're telling me that the Knicks are about to play 48 hours of great defense. I'm not buying that. I'm not sold on that fucking right now. I don't care what their win streak is at, dog. Versus a Raptors team that's getting healthy off 6 losses. They've talked about how they want to get off of this loss. I think this is just a spot for them to just get right and get a win. It's not. I'm not saying the Knicks are fucking world beaters, man, but if there's any spot for them, man, I just feel that this is when they just got an Obi back, man. They just played the Sixers hard. They lost in overtime. For me, it's a get right spot, and I just don't believe that the Knicks can play 48 hours of good defense. And I believe Quentin Grimes is questionable as well here in this game as well. So these rotations are going to be a little bit different now. I just don't trust them. So give me to get their win today, man. And then I had looked up one. If you want to look it up, I did. Previous game overtime equals 1, and previous away dog loss, and previous home loss, and opponent's rest equals 0, and the opponent is a home favorite now.
Shit. Okay, hold on.
I threw it in the chat.
That's the entire database.
You need to look. What's up?
Is that the entire database?
Yeah. It was an entire database.
All right.
If you need to look at it, it's in the chat. I threw it up earlier today.
Oh, okay. Shoot. Okay, so sorry. Break that down one more time. So previous OT equals 1. Previous road dog
away
loss.
Dog loss, and then previous home loss, and opponent's rest equals 0, and the opponent is a home favorite now.
All right. 5-1 to the under.
But it's 1-5 straight up. That team is now 1-5.
Oh, sorry, 1-5 straight up. Yeah. So that would point towards the Knicks here.
So for me, it's a spot for me that I'm taking the Raptors, man. I'm just on the Raptors. I think that line is fishy. I think they get their win today, man. I just don't believe they're playing 48 hours of good defense.
Gotcha.
And like you said, they got to look ahead spot too, man. They got to get out on the road.
The one thing that Mitch mentioned too is that first quarter Knicks, because technically both of these things can hit, right? The Knicks first quarter and the full game Raptors. So home Knicks first quarter 12-2-1 ATS, and then on the road you have the Raptors 4-11 ATS in that first quarter. So it makes sense that maybe to look in that direction for the Knicks first quarter. All right, cool. Well, I think we broke down a bunch of games here. I'm gonna talk about. I'll mention you guys' plays real quick. Actually, let me see what this. Yeah.
Before you get, I think for
Yeah.
prop bettors, I think Brunson unders in that game might be worth a look. I don't play props too much, but just thinking about how the Raptors play, I think they can match up 1 through 5 for Brunson and what he's looking to do. So nothing crazy strong. That's just gambling.
No, that makes sense.
Joey, I think you wait for Grimes on that one, but yeah, definitely. I think he's gone under, and I think his last 4 of 6. Ever since they've been winning, they've been sharing the rock, and he doesn't have to do as much.
Yeah. Shout out to you for joining us here late. We were just gonna cut out, but you want to drop anything?
No, I was just tuning in to see you guys had another show to do for NFL, but I want to see what you guys were chopping up, man.
Yeah.
A lot of great games. I think we're all in agreement, or I did time with some of the guys in the chat about the Cavs here tonight. I think is a good spot for them. Joey's probably about to chop my head off, but I think it's a good spot for the under for that game as well. Cavs in the under. I think LeBron has a big night here tonight as well against the Kings. If Westbrook's not able to go here tonight, probably look at his triple-double or his PRA here tonight. And then De'Aaron Fox as well. He's had pretty good history against the Lakers. Lakers are really.
Did you real quick? Do you think the Kings can cover that one, even if LeBron goes off?
It's tough.
Sabonis is questionable, right? With the hand.
So,
Sabonis,
yeah. Him and Harrison Barnes did go through
Barnes.
shoot around. I think if Sabonis is in, I think the Kings can take care of business here.
Sabonis is likely to play.
Okay.
Gotcha. I did have real quick. So I'm gonna look at this real quick because someone dropped this in the chat earlier. I believe it was 3, maybe. I think that was it. I don't know. Anil, if you're still in here, let me know if this was the right query. But it looks like it's a fade of the road dog.
All right, so you're not sharing your screen no more.
Oh, snap. Okay, hold on. My bad. All right. There you go. Sorry. I believe this is the query here. Since 2020 on the road, coming off of a win. Oh, you could just put that together. Shortcut. And D. So a road dog coming off of a road win, and the sight streak is greater than or equal to 3. So that means they were home for at least 3 games straight before the road game. It is 15-46 straight up, 20, 39-2 ATS. That's a really good hit rate right there. That's what 66%. And that's fading the Bucks and the Hornets today. That's the Cavs and the Clippers. Ooh, I like it because I like both of those plays. That's a good query. I like that. Thanks for sharing, Anil. All right. Well, this is about the time that I wanted to stop. So I'm going to go over the plays real quick from everybody. Mitch, Nets team total over. Greg, he got the Blazers on the spread there. Chris, you got the Bucks Cavs under 217.5. Joey, you got the Cavs on the spread. I think it was -1.5, right? Or -1.5. I got the Pacers, and then I forgot what Munaf said, but it was just right before this, so you can rewind if you watch it. That is it for the show today, guys. Definitely appreciate you guys in the chat for dropping your queries and all that stuff, and all your picks and plays. We can come back to them and see how they do. As always, I do want to close out with this. Whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time. Peace.